Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 for the PlayStation 3. Last time, Shadow's very hard stages actually began to become a little bit more tolerable in the form of Flame Core, Radical Train, and Aquatic Base. Though they certainly weren't without their flaws, although I still actually get that S rank in Radical Train, which I think is the only S rank I've gotten since I played as Sonic. Because I didn't get a single S rank with Silver. I was just looking at my the results, my progress for each stage, and I didn't get a single S rank with Silver. The only one that I managed to get was, the only S rank I've got for Silver's very hard mode is for Tropical Jungle, which I did off screen. And that was actually before the LP. Just because I wanted to know if it was possible to skip through the stage, only for me to end up forgetting what direction it was when I actually played the stage. So yeah, genius strategy. And that answers my question. You don't fight a single Solaris monster in Shadow's very hard mode, which is very odd considering, like, how many stages does Shadow fight them in? He fights them in Crisis City, in Flame Core, in Wave Ocean, Aquatic Base, Dusty Desert. So a good half of them. Yet you don't fight a single one in very hard mode. Ugh. Oh, these damn rocks. Yep, this is it. Here it ends. Come on, come on, Shadow. Come on, Shadow. You're gonna just point out right there. Wave Ocean very hard mode. The hang glider section is the hardest part. The second section of the stage is actually quite comfortable, but that part right there, that is the hardest part of the stage. Because they give you a lot of stuff to avoid, and of course a lot of the time those pillars are also going to be falling down, and that then becomes a lot more things to avoid. But now, rather strangely, and I've brought this up a number of times before, Shadow's hang glider section has always pretty much just been him going backwards through Sonic's max speed section. And now, for the remainder of Shadow's very hard Wave Ocean, we are now going back the way we came. So, well, we just flew all over this. Well, we didn't fly exactly over this part because we went through the cave system, which you can go through in Sonic's very hard mode, but it's quite hard to do. Unfortunately, Motorcycle, I must abandon you here. Of course, we're Shadow the Hedgehog. For some reason, we can't go into a super fast max speed. But at the very least, that means that we have full control over Shadow. We do have a motorcycle to help us get through this faster, assuming you don't mind jittering left and right. So I'm barely tilting the analog stick when I do this, and Shadow is going all over the place. And good luck trying to regain control of yourself, because you'll probably just try and end up pointing the analog stick in the opposite direction to where you're going, and all Shadow's going to do is then just zoom off in that direction. Of course, every single one of those things can damage the motorbike as well, or it can just spontaneously combust like that. And of course, once you're off the motorcycle, everything then becomes much slower. But fortunately, this part isn't very long. You know, Wave Ocean is probably Shadow's longest stage in his story, and probably hard mode as well. But for a very hard mode, it really doesn't take that long to do. I still find its structure to be very strange. Why make us go through the hang glider section and then immediately make us go back the way we came? And this is actually the only stage in very hard mode for Shadow where you don't control Rouge and Omega. You are Shadow from beginning to end. Again, why they settled that for just this one stage is beyond me. But maybe, who knows, maybe it was done to make up for the next level. And no, that did not make me fall short. That is actually what it's supposed to do. I agree with that reaction entirely, Shadow. So you want to jump? And having attack towards that spring. And I was lucky that I actually managed to land on the rock there. I might have had to hit the other spring, I'm not sure. But it doesn't matter. Now what happens? I will never give up the fight. But yeah. Very quick, simple stage. How is that my ring bonus? Well, it appears that the game has glitched out on my ring bonus because somehow I have 278,000. How have I done that? I think it does it double the amount? Because that definitely looked like it doubled my ring bonus there. I'm not... I have to check, do the maths, but I'm pretty sure it just doubled my ring bonus. I swear it didn't do that in any of the other stages. I mean, I can check on the playback, but I don't think it did that on any of the other stages. It's rather strange. I mean, from the looks of the score, I was going to get the S rank regardless of whether it doubled it or not, but still, that's rather weird. So that stage took us about 6 minutes. This one, it's going to take about 5 times, if not 6 times as long. So to make up for having some rather short stages with partially Flame Core, Radical Train, Aquatic Base and Wave Ocean, we now have Dusty Deserts. A stage that was already quite long, and when you're playing this in very hard mode, it never seems to freaking end. Now I have tried practicing this stage many times, and the part that always gave me the trouble was this part right here, mostly because of stuff like that. This is the one and only time in the game where they actually want you to utilize the hovercraft's jumping mechanic. Because you never ever had to do that at all. You never have to do it in story mode, you never have to do it in hard mode, you never had to do it in any of the very hard mode stages, but all of a sudden you have to do it here. And it's horrible. It's activated the same way you activate the boost on the other vehicles. So you're supposed to press jump twice, that probably won't work most of the time. So you pretty much just have to mash the X button, or depending on which console you're playing the game on, so that you can jump over these spiked balls. Now you can try and maneuver your way through it slowly, but the issue that comes from that is there's also a load of robots shooting at you. And there's a lot of pillars that you need to make your way through. Top that off when they want you to, when they get a bit fancy with the level terrain and the angles they expect you to do. This part will take you quite a number of attempts to get right. Combined with the fact that sometimes the hovercraft just doesn't want to work at all. Or the robots get in the way of your jumps. Thankfully, if you press down the jump button, if you hold down jump while you're in the air, you can... It does slower your jump. That's something I've actually only just noticed. That it actually does slow the jump down! What the hell was that? And I'm back. My life count is now down to 1. Because for some reason that hovercraft just can't stay straight when it's in the air. And of course the thing will bounce around every single time it lands, to the point where it'll probably tip over, spontaneously combust and cause Shadow to fall into the sand. Where he for some reason dies because all of the sand around here is quicksand. Hence my low life counter. I have only ever, that is the second time ever that I have ever completed that hovercraft section. And I have gotten so many game overs there. But none of those game overs during none of those deaths did I ever suffer from something like what happened there, the part where I cut out. What happened to Shadow's homing attack? Because the robot was right there. It was the only robot too. All I had to do was just destroy that robot, and I would have meant that I would have completed that section first time. But no, the game can't have that, so it has to make sure that it does everything in its power to stop that from happening. And now it's going to try and do everything in its power to stop me from finishing it as a whole. Because for some reason these spike balls can't just stay at the end of the stage once they get pushed away. They have to keep coming back. And of course your Gimp Jump is going to prevent you from doing absolutely every single thing. Apart from this one bit of concrete right here. Everything else is apparently just too high for this stupid Gimp Jump. And whose idea was this? The idea is to have your jump gimps whenever you're walking on something that isn't solid ground. Be it sand, water, anything. Even if it's like the most shallowest piece of water. A piece of water, yes. The shallowest bit of water is enough to pretty much less than halve your jump. Cuts your jump down like 2/3, and that's so stupid. Now which of those projectiles actually hit? Then of course you just have the enemies appear out of freaking nowhere like that. Why didn't that one die? And they're gonna take all of your rings away. And cause issues such as that. Right, look, we're down to our last life. And straight away they put you right in front of a group of enemies. With barely any time to actually get your rings back. And this stage is also considerably longer than it was for regular mode and hard mode. Not just because of the amount of enemies you have to deal with, and the fact that you now have to also hunt for keys as Rouge. But they actually extended the stage. Because we don't just end before that door, after that bottomless pit that hates me so they'll probably try that. They'll probably hate me just as much here as well. And I bet I won't be getting any extra lives before I reach it. Because you actually go back to the outside section of Dusty Desert, where you're sort of making your way through Sonic's portion of the stage only backwards. You're not going through the whole thing, but they extended Dusty Desert. I ask why, because of that, Dusty Desert very hard mode for Shadow is probably the longest stage in the entire game. Yeah, it's like they did it solely because they realized, wait, there's no ball puzzle in Silver's version of the stage. Therefore, it's too easy. We need to show that this is very hard mode. So let's crank everything up for Shadow. Let's give him a ridiculous amount of enemies. Let's give him near unavoidable objects. And do everything in our power to make sure that players have a very hard time here. Both fairly and unfairly. And that's exactly what this stage feels like. It's either that or they got the writers of this game to design this level so that they can come up with every bad and stupid decision possible. Because this game's story sucks. Now, I'm still questioning why Mephiles needs Elise to cry in order to free Iblis. Why does he need that? Can someone please explain to me why Mephiles can't just fuse with Iblis in the future? I think I read somewhere that maybe because Iblis became too much of his own he became too much of his own separate life form. But if that was the case, why didn't he just travel back in time to the past when he and Iblis were first separated during the Solaris project? What the hell? I'm guessing there's a switch somewhere, but I don't know where. I could have sworn you're supposed to play this part as Rouge. Maybe that's later. There it is. Of course, it was pretty much hiding in plain sight. Although, granted, I don't think I ever looked in that direction, but that was mostly my own incompetence, as most things usually are. Again, I won't blame the game for my own stupidity. And that's just about the only thing that I'm not going to criticize this level for. And I'm getting so sick of these rapid fire attacks. Whether it's a rapid fire attack, a missile, or whatever the hell the egg lancers and the invisible enemies shoot. Or highly accurate lasers. Or arms that are also bombs. But thankfully this is the last level where we have to deal with Eggman's robots. From this point onwards it's Solaris monsters, but unfortunately it also brings in the absolute worst of what I'm not really sure if you can call them enemies, but it brings out the worst hazard that this game has. And we'll be seeing more of that in the final. So really Omega, he was right there. Whoa. But they just don't end. So you make the level this much longer with just the enemies, and then you decide to actually extend the stage physically as well? It's like, no! Did you really just do this? To make up for the shorter stages? For the likes of Flame Core, Radical Train, Aquatic Base and Wave Ocean? Because, you know, Wave Ocean is probably Shadow's longest stage. So because it's so short in very hard mode, it's like they said, yeah, let's make this longer. Let's make Dusty Desert longer to make up for Wave Ocean being so much shorter. The fans are like that. It means that they're not being cheated on. So they're essentially paying more for less. Now this would normally be where we'd switch to Shadow. This being very hard mode, they had to extend it a bit. At least I think this is where it would switch to Shadow. Woohoo! Big wave. Yeah, these waves tend to vary in size. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're not so big. And the last thing we need in a Sonic game is more stuff that's big. Foggy! You hiding one of these waves, buddy? Thankfully, it looks like the waves can sometimes take out these enemies. They clearly didn't take that one out. Whoa! Thankfully, the one shooting me gave me invincibility frames. And of course, you have to wait for their cores to come up. Everything is just designed to last longer. Why is this switch necessary? Oh. It just goes on, doesn't it? Now we gotta play as Rouge. What am I looking for? A switch to a switch? Yes, I am. And somehow destroying an urn that could be anywhere will reveal a switch in an entirely different location. I don't get it either. Because it's not the first time we saw something like that happen. It happened a few times in Radical Train, where we destroy a load of crates and we then that would then reveal a spring that was actually located where there was a gap between the crates that should have been big enough to see it. Okay, it's not really a switch for a switch, it's more like a switch for some keys. A switch for a switch would just be stupid, so it'd be right up Sonic 06's alley. Yeah, we're now actually in the ball puzzle room. I think this is actually where Shadow's stage ends anyway. But, you know, we're playing as Rouge now, so... Oh look! It's my favourite pit, only now it's big. Hello! Fortunately... Switches, and I bet they're further back, aren't they? And judging by that sound, yeah, they're also timed. So somewhere in this room is either one or a bunch of switches. Where? Well, you just gotta keep destroying the urns and eventually you'll find out. Hopefully there's nobody Hopefully nobody has any ashes in any of these. Because that would be pretty bad if there was. Oh look, it summons even more enemies. Thankfully they're destroying each other. Ow! I was wondering what that was. I thought his projectiles like flew to the other end of the screen. But now I gotta do this without any... I wanted those rings to get extra lives, damn it. But no, I can't even be given that. Why are there so many switches in this damn room? And once again it drops the enemies right on top of you. When they're that close, you really can't avoid their attacks. And they're already attacks that are pretty hard to avoid. Finally, that does it. If you get the door to appear. Rings. I need my rings. Oh, okay, maybe that's not where the stage normally ends. Because, yeah, Shadow does go through another one of those tunnel sections. But there's a waterfall right there. Which I still can't access. They really try to emphasize the fact that Rouge is this world's greatest treasure hunter. And of course the bombs don't even want to destroy the damn statues. So all you can do is just trial and error. That's all you can do here. Those explosions didn't do a single damn thing. Alright, all you can do is just make sure that the bombs can defy gravity. Oh. Let's see, they even hide the bloody switch. That and the stage just goes on and on and on, and once again we now have to somehow utilize Shadow's chaos powers. Obviously because we were playing as Rouge, that meant that the meter had to reset. So we now need to try and utilize Shadow's chaos powers in order for us to get through that laser gate. And then you gotta hope it works. Got all these enemies to fill it up, but they do it at such a snail's pace that it's really not going to do you much good. Thankfully this platform is high enough for us to just jump over it. Whoop. I thought he clipped through the ground there. This is fun. This is exciting. That is bullcrap. Right. Chaos. Swiss roll. Now you gotta hope you can get all the way up there, and there you go. Thankfully, So thankfully for some reason the case is already open. I don't know why that is. So why are we dragging this out? Look, the case is already open. Let's just go in. And okay, apparently not. The case sent me backwards. Come on, let me clip through that first. No, it's run out. Cut. Alright. Yeah, stupidly, they send you back to the room that Rouge was in, where we finished with Rouge, so that we can now go through this. So we can now go through this door. That's so stupid. They send us back to the room we were already in. It's like they wanted you to go through every single part of Dusty Desert, every single bit they could possibly get you through. And now we're back here in my favourite room. I really want that one up. But I'm also really worried that this other enemy is going to do something. There's of course before his rapid fire attacks don't do anything first. Or something like that happens! And I'm back. Turns out it's very easy to get across there. So, after more bullcrap and things not working and all of that stuff, finally here. As you can probably see from the looks of my score, I did die quite recently. Right after spending about 5 minutes trying to get through that laser barrier that, even with Shadow's Chaos powers, doesn't work. And it's still not the end. That would normally be where the stage would finish, but no. It just keeps going. Again and again and again. But despite this, I still think that Dragon Road Act 2-2 from Sonic Unleashed's DLC is worse. As amazing as it sounds, but something can be worse than this. I still think that. Because while that stage can still take me a good 10 minutes to beat, we're talking about a stage that should be beaten in about 2.5 minutes. This at the very least is purposely long. And okay, that's good to know. The first video for Shadow's Very Hard Mode is now finished editing, which means that it can now begin the upload. Though something tells me it's going to be a much later upload than I intended. Deal with that in a moment. But thankfully we're not going through the entirety of Sonic's section. Though I don't actually remember how far we go through, and there's no more hovercraft. Thank God. Look it's the end. That's it. Shadow, you better not miss it. That's it. Yes. That is Very Hard Mode. We finally did it. It's finally over. And you can forget 100%ing everything. There will be no more S ranks. That's it. I'm sick of this. The extra video is coming up next. And then we can finally end this thing. So, yeah, next up will be our little extra video. Probably won't be too long, so I will see you guys then.